Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear cadets. In this video we will study the third group of carbohydrates, that is polysaccharides. Its meaning is poly means many and saccharide means sugar. So what are polysaccharides? Definition: the type of carbohydrates which are formed from more than 10 monosaccharide units are monomers. Formed from more than 10 monosaccharide units are monomers. As you already know that monosaccharides have one sugar unit. They are simplest sugars. Oligosaccharides you studied, they contain 2 they are formed from 2 to 10 monosaccharide units, and polysaccharides are formed from more than 10 monosaccharide units are simple sugars. Characteristics: so polysaccharides can be hydrolyzed into more than 10 monomers of glucose units. These polysaccharides are usually polymers of glucose units. They are tasteless and insoluble in water, and they have straight chain or branch structure. Number 5, polysaccharides have high molecular weight and have large size. Examples of polysaccharides: biologically important polysaccharides are starch, glycogen, cellulose, creatine. Starch and glycogen, these are storage polysaccharides. They form the reserved or stored food materials of living organisms, while cellulose and creatine, these are structural polysaccharides as they form various structures of living organisms. Starch and glycogen, they are made up of glucose units. Alpha glucose, the starch may be starch. There are 2 types of starch, unbranched and branched, and glycogen is extensively branched. Cellulose and creatine, these are made up of beta glucose and they are always unbranched. Now what is alpha and beta glucose? Look into the structure. This is the structure of glucose molecule. It is a hexose 6 carbon sugar monosaccharide. Carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 number carbon is out of the ring. Now look into this hydroxyl group which is attached to carbon number 1. Now what is alpha glucose? When hydroxyl group, OH group attached at carbon number 1 is below the plane. If it is below the plane, so such a glucose is called alpha glucose. This ring is known as pyranose ring. What is pyranose ring? 6-member ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 member. Sixth member is oxygen. And when hydroxyl group attached at carbon number 1 is above the plane, if this hydroxyl group is above the plane, so then it is called beta glucose. Hydroxyl group attached at carbon number 1 is above plane. So starch and glycogen have alpha glucose, while cellulose and creatine have beta glucose. This is all about alpha and beta glucose. Starch, you know, is a storage carbohydrate in plants. It is stored in fruits, seeds, roots and underground stem. Starch is composed of 2 components. One is amylose. What is amylose? Unbranched or straight chain unbranched starch is called amylose. Look it, this is amylose. It is unbranched or straight chain starch is called amylose. These are glucose units. Alpha glucose. What is alpha glucose? When hydroxyl group attached at carbon number 1 is below the ring, so it is called alpha glucose. This is alpha glucose and it continues so on. Alpha glucose and so on. This linkage is, these are monosaccharide units as you already studied, attached by glycosidic bond. So this glucose is alpha glucose, so it is known as alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. Why 1,4? because the glycosidic bond is found between carbon number 1 of one glucose unit and carbon number 4 of another glucose unit. So it is called alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. There is no branching. It is a straight chain. So unbranched starch is called amylose. It is called amylose. While the branched starch is called amylopectin. It is called amylopectin. These are also alpha glucose units joined together by glycosidic bonds. Look at here. Here is a branch. And this is a branched. It is not a straight chain. Alpha 1,6 glycosidic bond, because the bond is formed between carbon number 1 and 6 of 2 glucose units. This one is carbon number 1, this is 2, 3, and is 1, this one is 6. So 1 alpha 1,6 glycosidic bond. Another polysaccharide is glycogen. It is the storage carbohydrate in animal cells, mostly in the liver and muscle cells in vertebrates. It is extensively branched form of amylopectin. Therefore called, also known as animal starch. Another polysaccharide is cellulose. It is the structural component of plant cell wall. MCQ. It is most abundant carbohydrate in nature. It is always unbranched, composed of beta glucose. Now you know beta glucose, in which hydroxyl group at carbon number 1 is above the ring, is above the plane. Bond is beta 1,4 glycosidic bond. Humans can't digest cellulose due to lack of enzyme cellulase. Cellulose is present mostly in cotton fibers. For example, cotton fibers. Now this is glucose units and joined together by beta 1,4 glycosidic bond. This is carbon number 1 and this is carbon number 4 of another glucose. And as the hydroxyl group is above the plane, so it is beta 1,4 glycosidic bond in cellulose. Look at here. This is 1 number carbon. The hydroxyl group is above the plane, so it is beta 1,4 glycosidic bond in cellulose. Creatine. It is the structural component of fungal cell wall and exoskeleton of arthropods, a class of invertebrates, a phylum of invertebrates such as insects. Like cellulose, it is always unbranched. In chitin, amino group is attached to carbon number 2 of the glucose. This is the structure of chitin. Look at here. At carbon number 2, amino group is attached. So this is beta glucose. This is also beta glucose. Hydroxyl group at carbon number 1 is above the plane, and this group is also known as N-acetyl group. This is the structure of chitin. It is also unbranched. So it is all about polysaccharides and carbohydrates. You should study the functions from your textbook. Thank you.